Everyone laughed at the maid's old shoes until the CEO called her mom. Everyone laughed at her shoes, cracked leather, tape holding the left sole together. Nobody in that glass-walled lobby had ever seen a cleaning lady dressed like that walk into a boardroom by mistake. Then the CEO stood up from his chair, walked past 12 executives, and said one word. Mom. Rosa Delgado had cleaned office buildings for 11 years. Every morning at 5 a.m., before the sun came up, she took 2 buses across town to reach the Holloway Tower, mop bucket in one hand, the same worn shoes on her feet because new ones meant skipping groceries that week. She never complained. She never asked for more. She just worked, quietly, invisibly, the way people expect the woman who empties their trash cans to work. Her co-workers knew her as the quiet one who hummed old songs while she polished the marble floors, who kept peppermints in her pocket for the night shift guards, who never called in sick even when her knees ached so badly she could barely climb the stairs. Nobody asked about her life outside those hallways, and she never offered it. That was how she'd survived for over a decade, unseen, which was exactly how she liked it. That morning, she made a mistake. She walked into the executive elevator instead of the service one, and by the time she realized it, the doors had already opened onto the 40th floor, right into the middle of a shareholder meeting. 12 investors in $1,000 suits turned to stare. A woman near the front, holding a coffee cup, wrinkled her nose. "Oh my God, is this a joke?" Somebody else laughed, the kind of laugh that isn't about humor, it's about power. Rosa's face went red. She looked down at her shoes, at the tape peeling at the edge, at the mop bucket she still hadn't set down. "Sorry," she whispered, backing toward the button. "Wrong floor." But the laughter kept going. Someone pulled out a phone to record it. A man in a navy suit muttered something about, "How does someone like that even get a badge?" And the room chuckled again. That ugly, comfortable kind of cruelty people only show when they think there will be no consequences. Rosa's hand was shaking on the elevator button when the door at the far end of the boardroom opened. Marcus Hale walked in. 34 years old, CEO of Holloway Towers' parent company, the youngest chief executive the firm had ever had. He'd built the company from a garage startup into a billion-dollar name, and every person in that room had spent years trying to get 5 minutes of his time. He stopped in the doorway. He saw the woman by the elevator, the phone recording her, the laughter dying only slightly out of respect for his presence. Then he saw her shoes. His stomach dropped in a way none of them expected, because he knew those shoes. He knew the tape on the left sole, because he'd told her 3 months ago, on a call she thought he'd forgotten, that he'd send her money for new ones, and she'd told him not to, that he should save it for his company instead. He crossed the room in 7 steps, past the shareholders, past the man with the phone, who lowered it slowly, sensing something had shifted in the air. He stopped in front of her, and for a moment, nobody breathed. "Mom," he said. The room went silent in a way that felt physical, like all the air had been pulled out at once. Rosa looked up at him, tears already forming, whispering his name like she couldn't believe it was really him. Marcus turned to face the room. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, something that made 3 executives suddenly find their tablets very interesting. 22 years ago, this woman worked 3 jobs so I could finish school. She sold her wedding ring to pay my tuition deposit. She wore the same coat for 6 winters so I could have books. He paused. And 5 minutes ago, some of you laughed at her shoes. Nobody said a word. The woman with the espresso cup had gone pale, staring at the recording still open on the other man's phone. Marcus looked at him directly. Delete it." The man fumbled, deleted the video immediately, mumbling an apology that came out in pieces. Marcus turned back to his mother, and something in his face softened completely, the CEO disappearing and just a son standing there instead. "Why didn't you tell me you were still working here?" Rosa's voice cracked. "You have enough to worry about. I didn't want to be a burden." "You were never a burden." He took the mop bucket gently from her hand and set it down. "You built this. Every floor of this building, every deal I ever closed, started with you cleaning houses at midnight so I could study instead of work. I don't care whose name is on the door upstairs. This company exists because of you." He turned to his assistant, standing frozen near the conference table. "Get her the finest pair of shoes this city sells, today, and clear my afternoon." Then, in front of the entire shareholder board, in front of the woman who'd called it a joke minutes earlier, Marcus Hale took off his suit jacket and wrapped it gently around his mother's shoulders, the way she used to wrap a blanket around him on cold nights when there wasn't enough money for the heater. "Let's go home, Mom." He walked her out himself, past every stunned face in that boardroom, past the elevator she'd accidentally wandered into that morning, thinking her day couldn't get any worse. Word spread through the company by lunchtime. Not because anyone posted it online, but because people who witness real humility rarely stay quiet about it for long. The woman who'd laughed first submitted her resignation 2 days later, before anyone asked her to. Rosa never went back to cleaning offices. Marcus created a foundation in her name instead, one that paid tuition for children of janitors, cleaners, and cafeteria workers across the city, the same invisible people who built other people's success without ever being thanked for it. Every scholarship recipient received a letter, signed personally by Rosa, that ended the same way each time. "Someone believed in me when I had nothing but tape holding my shoes together. Let me believe in you." Marcus visited her every Sunday after that. In the small house she refused to leave despite his money, the one where he grew up, the one where the heater still occasionally rattled the way it did when he was 7 years old, and she'd hold him close and tell him things would be all right. They always were, in the end. Because somewhere between the laughter and the silence that followed it, an entire room finally understood something simple. The people we overlook are often the ones who built everything we stand on. If this story moved you, like this video, subscribe for more and share it with someone who still remembers where they came from.